Okay, we got set up again for another little vlog. Got the coffee, and it's kind of good enough or nice enough outside to wear a sweater. So, I wanted to try to make a video a little bit about background as well as the merits of why I choose to do acting. What prompted me to do it. I never had a background as an actor. As a child, it wasn't like I was, oh, Mama and Papa want me on the stage. I never really had that kind of aspiration or being pushed to be a child actor at all. And I'm glad that I wasn't. That was, oof, I would never, I would never advocate that if I had a kid to push them into being a child actor. There's just too many weirdos out there. I got more into acting when I was about 25. Right, so kind of a little later than the typical route, because a lot of times people are saying, "Oh, when I'm 18, I want to move to Los Angeles, or I want to go to acting school at Juilliard." By the way, if you're going into the creative fields, in my opinion, unless it's to learn how to play a classical instrument or some sort of technical piece that you're working on, or learning techniques with regards to classical art, I don't know if you really need to go to college to learn those things. I'm going to take a bold stance right now. In my opinion, yeah, unless it's like a STEM field where you're going to be going off to be an engineer, a doctor, some sort of researcher, you don't really need college. Again, controversial thought, but it's just everything you could want in terms of acting is online. Everything with regards to a lot of the artistic endeavors are online. Business especially. I mean, there's so many resources out there to start your own business. And a lot of the business degrees just teach you to become a cubicle in an office, or be in a cubicle in an office and be a little cog in the machine of corporate America. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I love acting, is acting, in my opinion, is kind of like pure defiance. Anything creative, in my opinion, is an act of defiance against the kind of, I guess you call the matrix, or this corporate system that just wants to generate workers and just wants to generate little cogs in the machine that keep it going. And, you're only allowed to rise this high from the perspective of some schlub in middle management that is going to give you your performance appraisal mid-year. Okay, well, I'm not into that. Pound sand. So how about I make my own thing or rise to my own great heights? And I'm not saying it's easy. That's the thing. A lot of the creative endeavors are simply a roll of the dice, right? So when you are creating something, you have to kind of take it, not necessarily with a grain of salt, put your passion into it, but understand that you got to make it for you and for the love of what you're doing, as opposed to doing it in a corporate type environment. So what I'm trying to say is there's still actors out there that, as I mentioned in a previous video, the corporate NPC persona still exists among the actors of the world, or the creative types, right? And instead of just being in an office trying to get that next promotion, you might be in the lobby of an agency trying to lobby for yourself to get that next gig. You might be in an audition room somewhere to get that next project. You might be saying, you're going to undercut someone else because your performance will be not necessarily better, but maybe cheaper. There's always that type of person, the drone, who wants to do it. Now, I think they're less frequent, and the creative fields put people less in a box, but they're still there. There's still people being put in a box, still people conforming to cookie cutter roles, cookie cutter projects that are being made. So the NPC persona still exists. And what do I mean by NPC, for those who don't know? NPC is a video game term called a non-playable character. So if you ever play a video game, any game, there's always those background characters that are out and about, and they're just there. They just exist. They're not part of the main character story. There's nothing main character about them. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people in the corporate world. So, especially the corporate world. So what I'm trying to say is, why do I act? Well, I feel that, in my perspective, I've been in several different fields. I started off in science. with a degree in microbiology, and the original intention from there was to see what would happen. Maybe I would go to medical school, maybe I wouldn't. I opted not to go. And then eventually I was working in medical laboratories after college. I realized this was not for me. That is a true, like, robotical type persona, the ones that are in labs. And, society needs those types of people. That's not me. So I kind of shifted into the corporate environment where I built most of my career, I guess you could say, in the working world. And while there's a little bit less pressure and perhaps a little bit more stimulation in that, there's still that soul-crushing, just be the cog, be in the machine, keep this going, meet your metrics, meet your particular quotas, whatever corporate field you're in. In my perspective, there's a really, really great book out there by a guy named David Graeber. It's called Bullshit Jobs. I might do a review on it sometime, but it talks about how about 80% of a lot of white-collar jobs can be kind of described as non-essential, aka bullshit. But a lot of them are necessary to keep things going. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be grateful for the opportunities afforded you. I think if you have a good, cushy job out there and it allows you the flexibility to do what you want to do, fantastic. That's great. And I think we should all want to have something like that, or for at least for a period of time. But a lot of them are not like that. And a lot of them are designed to kind of put you in a box and not let you soar, so to speak. So in my perspective, acting is just one more finger in a different pie that you never know what could happen. The way I've seen it, what I've been exposed to, it only really takes one good project to completely pivot your life, right? So again, with the linear aspect of the corporate world, always trying to get you on the 5-year plan or your 6-month plan, or if you're falling behind, your PIP, your personal improvement or performance improvement plan. Everything is always about the straight and narrow, right? This linear progression, which follows this very outdated model of after you graduate college, presumably you work the next 40, 50 years, then you can enjoy your life. No, I don't agree with that. And I think most people are waking up to that being a scam, which is good. But I think the question on many people's minds today are, well, how do I resist the scam? How do I break out of this matrix? The whole self-help industry is out there trying to profit off of you asking that very pivotal question of, what do I do? Well, this is not me necessarily saying I have the answer for you. I would just say what's helped me have a sense of grounding in terms of actual work and effort that I can put myself into something is creative stuff. Is for me, it's acting. For you out there, it could be writing. I love writing too. Writing is a lot of fun. Writing, it could be music. It could be art. You just have to try. You don't even have to be that good at it. You could just try. And what that does is gives you two things. It gives you a sense of empowerment because you're doing something that is universally for you. Universally, you're doing something out of joy for what you want to do, even if it's just half an hour a day in drawing some doodles, even if it's just throwing an audition out there on some website because they needed a voiceover or because they wanted a local community theater, even if it's just doing a YouTube video, looking at some basic scales for a violin that you own to try to learn basic. You're still doing it you're operating outside the system. Mentally, you are already free, or you're at least opening the door. It could be photography is another one. I'm just saying there's all these different creative things that you have to think about. And I think it is an expression of who we are as humans. It's like an expression of spirituality in a way, to be able to create something, to be in this flow, because we're made for so much more than office jobs and sitting in an office. Many of the people who might be watching this, especially if you're in the Western Hemisphere, North and South America, your ancestors crossed an ocean. Did they cross an ocean so that you could just be in an office? I don't think so. I'm not saying that they wouldn't want you to be comfortable, of course, but I think they want you to be free, live free, and to explore with your passion. So that's why I like to act. I think it is a defiance of the modern corporate system, in a sense. You're doing your own thing, and it really only there's nothing to lose, right? You say, maybe you make a reel or you make a short film and it goes nowhere. And I can go over. I'll make another video highlighting problems in the acting world, because a lot of times there are issues with films getting released or projects falling through. Happens all the time. But what I've learned is that it's just an element of you never know what could happen. It's a roll of the dice in some regards to actually getting success in that realm, or material success. But it could be one film. Maybe it goes nowhere. But there's always a chance that it becomes a hit. Then it becomes the chance of the right person saw it. Then it becomes, well, suddenly they want a meeting with you and you have an agent now, and you're being thrust into this realm that maybe your middle manager, Jim, at your local insurance office that you work for, wouldn't ever approve you to be part of, because he looks down on you, as many middle managers do out there. So I'm just saying, go the path less traveled or not traveled at all. Invest in creativity. Put it out there for people to look at, but also, have maybe a little bit of be willing to accept constructive criticism, but have a thick skin. It's your own endeavors. And if someone wants to put their spin on it, like, oh, maybe you should do this, then let them do that. If you feel that your project is good as is, put it out for the world to see. And you may be surprised with the results. All right, so I hope that's my motivational Sunday message. I hope you're all having a great day, and I hope you all have an amazing week.